I suppose the history of the Haven goes back to about 1971, when I was working in probation and somebody said to me, there's all sorts of services for men, but no services for women. Women escape domestic violence, they come out of prison, all sorts of situations where they're homeless. What about doing something? So we got a group of people together. We had no money. All the people were volunteers in various professions. And we said, well, we need a house. We managed to approach the local housing officer, who was a Quaker, very nice lady, and said, I've got a house in Scotland. In that time, Scotland was an area that nobody ever wanted to live in. So we got this 5-bedroomed house in Scotland. We had no money. I managed to give a talk to somewhere, and they gave me a £5 donation to start things off. And we approached various trusts and got a little bit of money. And we thought, well, we've got to start it. And at that time, there were an organisation called Community Service Volunteers, which was usually young women volunteering for a period from 6 months up to a year to do work in the community. We applied to this organisation. We got 2 young women. They must have been they were extremely brave, because they went out to Scotland to a very damp and dark house, camped down in it, and started canvassing the local area to get help. They got some help, and they approached various organisations, and yes, we need help for women. And we managed to open the house with very minimal furniture. I can remember going to a organisation that provided white goods for kitchens, etc., saying, have you got any old stock, any stock or damaged stock you don't want? And I landed up with 2 lorry loads of kitchen cabinets and various other bits. So the whole house was white. And we got volunteers in to do the garden and various other things. And then we had no people to come in for the first few weeks. And after that, it's been a continuous process of getting busier and busier. And we managed to get round to getting enough money to provide staffing. And one of the volunteers who came in the first instance had taken a year out of nursing. She went back and got her nursing qualification, and then came back as our first manager. That was that, and we had volunteers for everything, from doing decorating, painting, decorating. We managed to get a group together to do group work with women. And I suppose it was unusual now I look at it, that I was a man doing group work for women escaping domestic violence. But we managed to get a local psychiatrist and various other people. And one of the other co-founders, Honor Pringle, was also part of that group. From that start, we managed to get an urban aid grant to open up another house and actually purchase the house, which was quite an achievement for us, and that's the Lee Road property, and that was our second house. That used to be a doctor's surgery previously, and it was supposed to be an anonymous house, but you try and have an anonymous house in Wolverhampton, and it's almost impossible when on the opposite side of the road you've got an Asian grocers that knows everybody in the immediate area. You've got taxi drivers that after about 10 minutes find out where you've got houses and everything else. So the only thing we could do was talk to the local police and saying, look, where an emergency accommodation, if anything is, if you get a call from the Haven, please treat it as an urgent call. And they were extremely good. We got about a 5-minute response time from the police. And the word soon got around that it wasn't safe to go try and find your ex-wife, girlfriend at the Haven. We opened further houses over the years. And then for one period we got what was called short life housing, which was housing that was due to be demolished. And we got another voluntary organisation to do those houses up. We got another organisation to find furniture. And the women that didn't need the support for Haven went in to those short life houses, usually for a period of 6 months or so, which then made them eligible for local authority housing. So volunteering we did all the time. I can remember going out in the middle of the night with a ladder on the top of my car because somebody had lost their key in one of the houses and couldn't get in. I wasn't very popular at home for doing this, but it was part of the ethos of the Haven. Over the years we managed to get extra funding to open other houses. We worked in association with housing associations to find other properties. So for the size of Wolverhampton, we landed up with most bed spaces for women escaping domestic violence and escaping any other situations. And that's where the Haven is quite unique compared with the rest of the women's movement, in that we took in, and we still take in, any women that need support and accommodation. And all of this meant that we relied very heavily on volunteers of all types, from people who help in the house, people that help with cooking, people that would go and get the shopping for us. We got deals with local wholesalers. Again, the Haven was quite unique in that we provided food, whereas most organisations left the women to get the food themselves. Buying the food, and we had a rota for the women when decided to do the cooking. That rota created quite a few problems because there's always somebody that didn't like what was given. But we got over that. We had for a long time what we called the Friends of the Haven, which was purely and simply a money-raising group that raised money for Haven. Very successfully. One of the things that Haven did was to open shops selling second-hand clothing, etc. This group had an idea that they should hold an event. They got all the best quality second-hand goods, got the use for hotel, and modelled all this clothing, and made a lot of money. In one night, I'm going back to the 1980s, we raised over £1,000, which at that time was a lot of money. That's more volunteering. Painting and decorating, everything to do with the gardens, everything to do with supporting people was done by volunteers. And I can't impress on you now how important volunteers are in the present climate, when without the volunteers we got, without all of you, the Haven would have a great difficulty in managing and would have to cut back on its services. I think I've spoken enough now.